Welcome back to Rocker's Beer Review. And well, let's face it, it's summer over. It's now, the weather's gone a bit bad, you know, it's dark, it's miserable, it's cloudy. So apart from all those nice fruity tropical IPAs that we've been trying, it's time to go back to some of those dark ales, those dark stouts. So today we're going to do a review of this one. This is a Big Milk Stout by the London Beer Factory. It's available in Tesco's, £3. I've had it in the fridge for a couple of weeks, but really just not really felt like drinking it just because the weather's been that hot and humid. It doesn't seem to be the sort of weather for drinking stouts. You may remember I did a video about Roaster Coaster, and that was a bit of an overpowering, you know. It took me a couple of days to get over drinking that. 9% Imperial Stout. Very strong, very dark, very rich, and I don't think I was ready for it. I mean, to be honest, but there's a lot of beers been drank since then, and I want to get into these stouts. And you know what I'm looking for a really good stout? So this is a vanilla and cacao nib imperial stout. It's 7.5%, so it's still pretty strong, but I'm really looking for that sort of stout that gives me that chocolatey, velvety taste where it almost doesn't taste like beer, and I don't know whether that actually exists, but I'm going to search every one of these stouts until I find it. So let's get this can into a glass and see what it's like, shall we? It's another one of these massive total pull caps. I'm going to pour this here and see what it looks like. Oh yes, that's very dark and treacly like. Okay, I mean, it poured quite treacly like, but actually seeing it in a glass, you know, you could easily mistake that for a Coca-Cola. It's got a very small half finger tan head there. It's very black. So, you know, it was a fair bit of fizz to begin with, but now it's you know, it's so dark and black you can't see through it. It's solid, you know. Look at that. I'm just seeing if there's any sort of other colours in there. Not really. So anyway, let's give it a smell and see what it's like for aroma. Yeah, I mean, what I find with a lot of these stouts is that you get a real sort of powerful licoricey sort of smell. This one's got a little bit more of a sort of almost like a Christmas pudding sort of. You can smell that sort of dates and is it molasses that they have in there? Can't smell much chocolate. It's obviously very rich roasted malts. You know, that coffee, probably quite a dark chocolate. But there's a sort of, I can see there's a little bit of lightness. There's a little bit of sort of that vanilla-ness sort of sitting in the background there, seeing if it can come through. So anyway, let's check it for mouthfeel, shall we? We'll just have a little sip first. Yeah, it's sort of, it's not as velvety and thick as some imperial stouts can be. It's quite thin. It's a little bit on the sort of, it's very sort of, what's the best way of describing it? Oily, you know, that sort of, it's sort of very sort of slips down a little bit. Yeah, it's quite thin. It's not, to be honest, the taste of it sits in your throat and it just sort of trickles away, really. It's, you know, it's really difficult to get some of those tastes out there. I'm going to take a bigger gulp this time. A real high level of carbonation there that sort of explodes a little bit in your tongue. I mean, let me have a look at it. It says, yeah, you get a little bit of a vanilla. Cacao nib, which is obviously like a sort of that's a sort of, I'm not exactly sure what that is. Obviously it's a sort of cacao chocolatey, sort of strong, dark, really dark, bittery chocolate. You're getting a little bit of that, but you're also getting this sort of almost like that sort of fizz and that sort of carbonation in your mouth, sort of exploding in the back of your throat. But there's no flavour; it's just a texture. It's really difficult to describe, actually. Let's see if we can liven this up a bit and see if we can get some flavours there. Let's get it's quite a big level of sweetness, actually. I'm trying to think back to the other stout that I tried and thinking about times of drinking Guinness. I think it's the body that makes it have that very sort of strange taste. You drink it and you get that sweetness, and then it's gone. You know, it's not like, you don't feel that sort of the maltness sort of sitting on the back of your throat. 7.5%. It's quite strong in alcohol. I mean, not as strong as some of the imperial stouts can be, but it doesn't taste strong. You don't feel that sort of alcohol burn. It's a really difficult beer to describe, really. Malty. I think it's almost got too much going on that it doesn't actually know what it wants to do. You've got you've got that lovely sort of maltiness, which is quite nice, and the sweetness that makes it quite inviting. But then it just, and a little bit of bitterness there on the back end, really. But I think it's the body of it that just, if it was a bit more thicker, a bit more sort of, luxurious, you can see it's still a little bit sort of, a little bit fizzy. If it was a bit more thick and luxurious, it would probably sit in the palate a bit better and you'd get those flavours. But at the moment, it's a real difficult beer to describe. It's a real sort of, I'm not getting huge amounts of aroma from that. I'm not getting huge amounts of taste. It's something that, when you describe it, I mean, look at the artwork. It looks like it's inspired by the Rockers Beer Review intro there, with the sort of fire and everything on there. It's a Big Milk Stout, vanilla and cacao imperial stout. Let's see what it says on there. Vanilla with cacao Neil's layer luxurious over a soft, wholesome stout. I wouldn't say it was soft. Too much fizz. Maybe I should have left it out of the fridge a little bit longer. Maybe too cold. With a modern global interpretation of the style, vanilla notes give way to a cacao nib bite with plenty of roasted chocolatey flavour. Full-bodied and robust. I don't really agree with that. It's not full-bodied. I mean, there's an element of it. I mean, even sitting in the glass, it looks sort of tarry and, licoricey like, and, and thick, but the mouthful is just not there. I don't know. It's an interesting sort of taste. You've got the sweetness, and the bitterness, but they almost sort of like cancel each other out a little bit. It's quite pleasant. I wouldn't say it was, it was horrible, and it's certainly a little bit of an easier introduction to me for the stout. So anyway, that's a review of the Big Milk Stout by the London Beer Factory. So let's give this a review on the Rockers 100-point scale, shall we? Welcome back. Now we're going to just go through the scores for the London Beer Factory and their Big Milk Stout. So, firstly, aroma. You're picking up that sort of malted, the maltiness, that a little bit of coffee, licoricey, but it doesn't really go anywhere. It doesn't really sort of jump out and say this is what I am. So we're giving that 10 out of 20 for aroma. Appearance. Well, it's a lovely oily black with a very sort of a tan head. But it's, I think it's quite thin. It looks a little bit thin. It looks a little Coca-Cola-ish when you pour it into the glass. So we're giving it a 6 out of 10 for appearance. Flavour. I just don't know what it's trying to achieve there. It's the bitterness and sweetness just doesn't, it just sort of bangs on each other, but doesn't do anything, doesn't go anywhere. So we're giving it, and to be honest, it's not that. I think the thinness, there's no sort of mouthfeel fall there. It doesn't, the mouthfeel, sorry. It doesn't sort of luxuriously float down your throat when you're drinking it. So we're gonna give a 26 out of 40 for flavour. Value for money. It's a £3 can. It's a tricky one in terms of value because it's a 7.5% imperial stout. You could be paying all kinds of silly money for that in a bottle shop. So it's quite cheap, but I don't know. I'm standing somewhere around 7 out of 10 for that for value for money. Overall experience, I really wanted to enjoy it. I thought, it's going to be chocolatey and velvety, and there's a vanilla. It was making it a bit smoother, but it wasn't something that I really enjoyed. So I'm going to give it 10 out of 20 for overall experience. So tossing those scores up, what do we get? Well, we get 59. 59 out of 100. So it's not even a rock beer. It's Coldplay beers, not even rock. 59 under 60 is not to be recommended. So I would not recommend it. I think there's probably better stouts out there. If you like stouts, I think you should try some of the others. And I will be trying more on the channel. Certainly as we get out, when summer's over and we start getting into the winter time, there will be more stouts, more sort of darker sort of ales that we'll be trying that are more suited to the sort of time of year. But 59 out of 100, so not recommended. So that's it for Rocker's Beer Review for another review. Remember, keep on rocking, and we'll see you in the next video.